to another episode of Exposure Runs the Podcast. I'm your host, Mustafa. Today's guest is a 6'8" guard forward who recently transferred to Texas from Indiana State by way of Bradley University, who is a byproduct of Oak Forest High School in the south suburbs of Illinois. Comes from a family of Division I athletes. Dad played at Ohio and the University of Charleston. Mom played at West Virginia. So your mom and dad was hooping.
Yeah, it was hooping for sure.
Okay. And of course, sister Janae recently played at LSU and recently transferred to the school you transferred to's arch rival, which is Texas A&M.
Yep.
Earned Illinois All-State, All-Conference, All-Area, and South Suburban Hoops first-team honors, averaging 18 points per game. Finished his high school career with 1,290 points. Pretty impressive there, sir.
Thank you.
Started college career at Bradley, where he doubled his scoring average in 2 years. Made the MVC honor roll and the Bradley Athletic Director honor roll. So obviously education is important in the Kent household. I know mom and dad don't play. I know your parents very well.
They don't.
After your sophomore year, you transferred and reconnected with your high school teammate, Robbie Avila at Indiana State. Scored 35 in the SMU versus SMU in the NIT opener. 20 rebounds versus Drake, which tied you for 8th in single game history at Indiana State. 20 rebounds for a guard. That's, not going to lie, that's pretty impressive there, sir.
I appreciate it.
Most guards don't get 20 rebounds in the city. You got in the season. You got 20 in one game. That's actually pretty impressive. And you and Robbie, as well as the entire Indiana State team, were the darlings, literally the darlings of the college basketball world last season. Excuse me. And just kind of throughout the season, Robbie obviously earning various nicknames throughout the season. Yeah. I'm sure that was pretty fun. And then, of course, with you, your shooting got better throughout the season. I mean, it was already good, but just kind of kept increasing. You guys was finding very fun yet interesting ways to win, to win a lot of games. I'm sure that was just fun. Y'all had that school and that campus, and like I said, the college basketball world was really following y'all, and just was like fun to watch y'all. You dunking everything, shooting everything, and it was really fun. I want to welcome now the Texas. What was Texas? The Longhorns. The Texas Longhorns new recruit, per se, transfer recruit, Jayson Kent to the show. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
No, I really appreciate you, man. And like I said, I know your mom and dad. I'm going to tell you a story later on down the line. When I first met you, you probably don't remember, but I definitely met your mom and dad, which your mom and dad was when me and Xavier moved from Philadelphia to Illinois. Your mother and father were my introduction into the AAU world. Like I knew nothing about AAU. Xavier wasn't really that good. When I first moved here in 2012, I would fly home every weekend because him and my wife hadn't moved here yet. And he was just kind of getting started into basketball. Obviously, he was the tallest kid. And then when he moved out here, it was just like, oh, let's kind of see what this is like. We was over at Matson, and that turned into, I used to see your dad and your mom's next level, the banners up in the Matson Rec. And I took him over to one of the facility over there off of Harlem.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember. I sat through a parent meeting. Your mom could be a pretty scary person when she in that basketball mode.
Yeah, she got two personalities when she's on and off the court, for sure.
Yeah, your mom was pretty. She was like, kind of like directing the whole meeting, and she was very direct, and your mom was pretty tall too. So it's like a combination of basketball coach, mom, and she's a very tall woman. So I was intimidated by just the whole optics of everything, and it was my first time into that whole AAU scene. And it was pretty dope. Your mom and dad have always been really nice. Whenever I see them, your dad, obviously always shows love. I see them obviously in gyms all over. So no, it's been pretty dope, man. So I really appreciate your family and I appreciate you taking the time to kind of talk to us. It's
Yeah,
long
of course,
overdue for sure.
of course.
So my first question I have for you is sum up your high school career in one word.
Some of my high school career, one word, I would say growth.
That's a good word. Actually, that's a really good word. Okay, growth. Why you say that?
Um, just from looking back from when I was a freshman in high school, playing at Tinley Park High School, I was a short little kid, super high pitched voice, just coming out of eighth grade, like probably like 5'6", 5'7". Had some ups and downs, playing on the junior varsity level, and then just going through high school, just seeing my growth spurt grow a little bit. I get a lot taller, and just having the opportunity to see, like, if you would have told my freshman year self I'll be playing Division I basketball as a freshman coming out of high school, I would have laughed at you and be like, nah. But just seeing like all the process and hard work I put in through high school to be able to play Division I basketball is a blessing in itself.
Yeah, for sure. You talk about just that development, that growth spurt, right from freshman year all the way through your senior year of high school, and then obviously when you got to college, you had to me at least locally, you had a pretty viral moment. I remember the first time I saw a picture of you from your freshman year, and you was jacked. Like your arms was huge, and it reminded me. I don't know if you're going to remember this. It reminded me of a picture that people saw years later after Mike Bibby. Remember, Mike Bibby hadn't been on the scene for a while after he left Sacramento. And then the next picture everybody saw of him was this viral picture of him where he was like super diesel, like arms look like big clubs. That's what I saw when I hadn't seen you in a while. And then I saw, I think you was home for something, and it was like this picture floating around in the South Suburban group, and like you was like, I'm like, damn, that's what college do. Because I remember when you went to college, you was just really still kind of growing into yourself and a little slim. And man, I'm like, this man out there on some Hulk Hogan type shit.
Yeah, when I got
um,
I got a little rough.
yeah, yeah. Like so those nutritionists and those coaches that make you eat, like it gets the real deal on that level, huh?
It gets a real deal, and then well, me personally, I was like, I'm not going to keep getting babied, with these grown men. Also, I'm gonna at least try to throw some weight on and try to be able to eventually bump with it when I get older. So I just try to eat as much and lift as much as I could.
Nah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So, like, just having to get stronger when you playing on that level, would you say that that's probably the biggest noticeable difference, as you will, as far as playing Division I basketball or just playing college basketball in general?
Most definitely. Especially like the physicality. When I was in high school, I was more of a finesse type of guy. Want to float on the
Mhm.
3-point line, shoot threes, shoot mids. But getting to college, it's more physical. They take away a lot of that stuff. So just being able to put on as much weight as I can, and even now I'm still trying to put on more weight, and get a lot stronger still. I'm not satisfied. I would, you know, so just being able to see the growth in my strength and then seeing it affect the way I play as well. Being able to take more bumps, being able to finish through contact, and just
Mhm.
being able to um, bang with bigger people. So it definitely helps.
When you talk about kind of putting on more weight, what are some things that you're doing, and what are some things that you're eating? Like, what's your process? What does that look like?
Honestly, so my strength coach at Indiana State, he had got a new job during the season. King Galetta, we were trying to give me like two. I tried to get to 220 before the season, but we was able to give me the 215. And my play weight was between 210 and 215. But all he said, like, you really don't have to worry about what you eat because like I'm so lean and muscle.
Hmm.
So he's like,
Hmm.
just eat more meals throughout the day. I used to eat 1 to 2 meals a day, just how busy we was. But he was like, look, if you want to put on weight, you gotta at least eat three to four meals and get like snacks in between. And just eat, because at the end of the day, you're going to sweat it off when you work out. But the more you do it, the more your appetite will grow, and the more you'll eat, and the more muscle you could put on the way we lifted back in Indiana State.
So that's kind of what I've been trying to get Xavier to do because he's like you. He eats maybe once or twice a day. He's not really a breakfast person, and so when he got to school, he struggled a little bit. I mean, just with some other stuff. Remember, he was coming off that injury, so from that standpoint, but even like now, we my wife and I are like really on him about eating, like trying to eat at least 3 meals a day, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner is is definite that we try to stay on him. But like you said, those snacks and just trying to eat more in those breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like piling on those carbs because, like you said, you're going to sweat that off, and so we're at that stage with Xavier now, trying to get. I think just the other day he weighed himself. He was at like I think he said 175, and when he went to school, he was at like 165. So I'm like, yeah, you got to get to that 200, right? Like, if my old self can still bully you a little bit, like I know them young guys is bullying you. So, no, that's good stuff. Sum up your college career in one word thus far.
Um, Process.
Okay, process. I like that. And why do you say process?
Because I didn't trust the process when I got to college. I wanted things to happen faster than normal. I wanted to play pro faster. I just was like, I want to, be a two and done, and just go pro. But being in college really humbled me, and like really trusting the process and developing, not only my body but my skill set, because
Mhm.
at that level, I didn't shoot it very well, and like my confidence was down. So I had to go through the process of, you have to redefine your shot, you have to redefine who you are as a player, because you're not just that anymore. And not a lot of people my size can do what I do in the most humblest way, of course.
Right,
I
right.
grew up as a guard, but now I have a bigger body. I can play down low, I can guard 1 through 4. So just being able to trust the process and see what steps it took me to get here, what struggles it took me to get here. It's definitely a blessing to be able to have the opportunity to have went through those and help redefine me as a player as well, and just see my IQ grow as well, because as I got older, um, different reads and different like coaches that I had taught me the game in different ways, especially Coach Shirts, who was just my coach.
Right. When you were in high school, just kind of switching up a little bit, and I'm gonna touch back on some of the things you just said. When you were back in high school, do you remember what your favorite subject was in school and why?
So my favorite subject in high school was math,
Damn it!
science, Spanish. Those
I,
were those those were my three
math,
favorite subjects.
math is just not.
Math is where it's at.
Apparently, math is where it's at. Like math is not my strong suit. Now I can count my money. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. But like when you get me into the geometry and the algebra and calculus, you lose me. You lose me there. But I can count my money now. I can count 1 to 1 million. That's all that's important. Who was your favorite teacher and why back in high school?
My favorite teacher in high school was my science teacher. Her name was Miss Bertrand. She was the first real teacher to when I transferred to Oak Forest. She helped me like really settle in. She pushed me to excel in the classroom. She was really the one of the reasons why I took a college course class in high school and for
Okay.
science level.
Okay.
So she's definitely my favorite teacher. I still keep in contact with her to this day through high school. So
All right.
I
Cool.
appreciate her for pushing me, and she even came to some games. So it meant a lot to me for what she did, not only in the classroom but outside of it.
Yeah, I know for myself. Now I've been out of high school way longer than you have, obviously. But usually, when you got a good teacher that made such an impression or impact on your life, you usually stay in touch with them. And I can tell you that even in my old age, I can roll off 2 or 3 teachers that I'm still in contact with. One unfortunately passed away. My sixth grade teacher, Mr. Gomez, he was probably one of the toughest teachers I ever had. My first grade teacher, Miss Harper, and then a lady who she kind of started off as like a student teacher, but ended up being like one of the English teachers, and I gave her hell too. But her name was Miss Shope. So those were like my three favorite teachers throughout my entire high school career, if you guess. Same for college. Did you have a favorite professor at Bradley at Indiana State?
I didn't have any at Bradley. I'll tell you that straight up. I didn't like
Okay,
none of my
fair enough.
professors.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We won't listen. Listen. This is a positive show. We won't even go down that road. I'll be mindful of asking any questions about Bradley. So fair enough. What about at Indiana State? You said nah, Bradley.
uh, at Indiana State, my all-time favorite there is I'm mad. Dr. Stewart.
Okay.
I had her coming in, going in my junior year and my senior, and I didn't have her really much my senior year, but definitely my junior year. She was like one of the new. She only been there for 4 years, but
Okay.
she's amazing. She was fun in class. You know, she worked with me as a student athlete, and like she took me under her wing. You know, I didn't know what type of avenues I could have took with my degree, but she helped me figure out what I wanted to and helped me uh, figure out what I liked, because in college you got to find out what you like. So she helped me in my degree and find out what I can be really good at with it.
So two-part question. One is you are you already graduated or are you getting ready to graduate?
I just graduated.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought y'all saw your mom post something because I remember I had responded to the post on Twitter. So congratulations on that first and foremost.
Thank you.
College graduate Jayson Kent. Take the athletic aside. What does that feel like? Like you are a college graduate. How does that feel?
Oh man, it's an honor, it's a blessing. I know a lot of kids from high school who didn't graduate or didn't go to college, but being able to walk across the stage as a college graduate and getting a diploma from Indiana State is a blessing in itself. Them 4 years was hard, but God got me through it, and I'm very blessed to say I'm a college graduate. I got my undergrad, and then I'm gonna try to go get my master's certificate.
Man. That's awesome. When you think about being a college graduate, right? Just the long journey from high school, the maturing, then you get to college. Like that got to be a great feeling. Just to who's older, you or Janae?
I'm older.
All right, so like now you're your parents' first child, right?
Yep.
First college graduate. That's a pretty dope honor to kind of strut around the house being the first. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like that's pretty dope, man.
Oh,
Congratulations on that. And I'm sure, again, just knowing your mom and dad, I'm sure that's a huge honor. Like, playing on the level that you're playing on, which is one honor, and then now being a graduate of college, because eventually that ball is gonna stop bouncing. So now you have your future pretty much solidified. Now don't get me wrong, I'm sure that, going pro is definitely, at the frontal lobe. But if that don't work out, you definitely got that college degree to fall back on. So that's
no,
pretty
for
dope.
sure. But the one thing my sister does got to cost me is walking across the stage in high school. I was a 2020 graduate, so I didn't get to
Oh yeah,
graduate.
the
So
COVID,
that's
yeah.
she got that over me, but I got the
That,
college one. So
that
what you?
sibling rivalry. And listen, it's six of us. So the sibling rivalry never stopped. I'm gonna tell you how far it goes with us in our family. We on every gift giving holiday, particularly my mother's birthday, when we buy her gifts, we make her select who gave her the best gift and or the best card. And we're at the stage now where she has to pick. It can't just be that, how parents are like, oh no, I just love everybody gifts. Nah, fuck that. You got to tell us who won, because then that gives us rights in the group chat. Like, yeah, mommy picked our gift and
Yeah,
she
for
picked my
sure.
card. This is how deep it got. Our wives is now involved in the
Oh
whole.
man,
Yeah, so like we get competitive. So I know about that sibling rivalry. That's pretty dope. What's your favorite meal? What do you like to eat?
favorite meal? It's tough. I got a lot. Okay, I'll give you three. I'll
Okay,
give you one of each. So my favorite meal to cook is definitely my fried chicken, corn pudding, green beans is probably my favorite meal to cook. My
okay.
girlfriend's favorite meal to cook that she cooks that I absolutely love is her Cajun chicken pasta. And then my favorite meal from my mom's is her spaghetti.
Spaghetti. Now you said fried chicken and corn. What did you say?
It's corn pudding.
And you make this.
Mm-hmm.
Who taught you how to cook? Your mama? Can your dad cook?
He can cook, but it ain't like mine's though.
What's the secret ingredient or the secret method to your fried chicken? Because everybody got one.
Oh yeah, I can't tell you that. That's the family secret.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. What's your favorite pregame meal? What you like to eat right before you play?
Whatever they give us.
Now, is there a noticeable difference as of yet between the meals at Indiana State and the meals at Texas?
Well, we about to see. I don't know yet, so we'll find out when I get down there. But I would say they always gave us. I always my pregame meal, and I did this wherever I went. It was one piece of chicken, um, one piece of like whatever other meat, if it was pork or whatever, really pork. Those two, whatever, and like two things of vegetables, and that was it.
Okay. Okay. What's your favorite meal of the day? Breakfast, lunch, or dinner? If you had to choose.
Honestly, I would say I'm stuck between lunch and dinner because I can do either or.
Okay.
Breakfast, not really. It's not really my forte, but
Not
I would
really a
say
thing.
between, like right in between lunch and dinner. I don't know what it's called, but like right in
Yeah,
between.
yeah. Because you got brunch, but nobody ever gave that nickname between lunch and dinner. Like
Mm-mm.
Linner. I don't know if that's it
Ah.
right there. That's not it. Okay. All right. We won't make the petition to call it Linner. When you off the court, what you like doing when you winding down? What's a nice chill activity or just kind of chill type of thing you do? What does Jayson do off the court?
So off the court, Jason is very kind of like homebody, laid back. If he's not hanging out with his guys, we not hanging out. In the house with my girl or with our dog, chilling. If not, I got my feet up watching anime all day, every day. And then
Okay.
now also I just watch a lot more film and stuff. So those are pretty much my chill days, or even playing some video games to de stress away.
You talk about watching film. Have you noticed for you from your development and your IQ building of just playing basketball on that level, or just period collegiate basketball, that your film study has changed over the years as far as attention to detail?
Man, it's actually ridiculous. So I used to
Mm.
I hated watching
I
film.
bet. I
I
bet. I
hated
bet.
it with a passion. My dad, when I was younger, made me want to watch it when I wasn't that good. So I hated it, but playing in college, it helped me a lot. And then being able to watch it now on my own free time, just studying myself and just studying different teams and how they play, and even like different NBA players. And my favorite player in the NBA, I watch him a lot too. So just being able
Who
to
is that?
study them, Mikal Bridges.
Okay, Philly guy. All right, with the Nova. Um, when you're watching film of yourself, like what are some of the nuances that you're looking for? What are you looking at when you're watching film?
Um, so it depends on what the type of day. Some days I look like, okay, where am I getting my shots at? Where can I perfect it when I do my individual work? But really, it's just reading how where I could, affect the game in different ways of through, especially at Indiana State, it was through my cutting ability. So just being able to see when I could cut, how I could cut,
Mm.
what could I do to help open up my teammates through my cutting or through my screening, and then defensively, just watching how we switch and watching how I guarded, taking it personally that I want to be able to prove that I can still and even now prove that I can guard 1 through 5 at the highest level. So just being able to watch that stuff.
I was watching a few of your clips not too long ago, which really kind of I don't want to say it prompted me or or like was the reason why I reached out to come on the show because I have always been wanting to get you on the show and honestly I go through these I have these self doubts sometimes where I'm like I reach out to a player they may not answer and they may be busy I don't take it personal but like one day I'm gonna reach out and then one day I just like fuck it, I'm gonna just see what's going on but I was watching one of your highlights um, a few days ago and I noticed that number one a lot of your scoring came on in the Indiana system came in a lot of those back doors, screens, and cuts. And one thing that I also noticed, Robbie in particular, obviously, but a lot of y'all teammates, y'all were really. Coach had a lot of nice plays where y'all had a lot of good looking passes, those backdoor passes, like knowing not only you knowing when to cut, but you're cutting, and the player is like very strategically and like very accurately giving you the ball, whether it's a bounce pass to just pick up and dunk, or whether it's like in your pocket to get a layup. Like some of those passes I was watching, y'all, I'm like, damn, these are some good ass passes. Like, does that come from film study? And like, what is that like when coaches implementing or installing that offense type like that?
With that style of offense, it's more of a read and reacting. We just read and react off each other. We rep out some different like some different actions that we do and how teams are guard. So when we're
Okay.
in games, it's easier to make those type of passes. So we definitely work on those reads, and people, if they know they can't make those spectacular passes, they'll just make the simple pass, which is still a spectacular pass the way we played.
Yeah, y'all play. Yeah, those passes were spectacular, and even like now when I watch, and obviously not to compare high school basketball versus college basketball because it's just a totally different beast. But when I see stuff like that, it does highlight the unfortunateness that some of that stuff is not being taught, or more importantly, like bounce passes, entry passes to the bigs, leading your man to the basket. Those type of things don't seem to be taught on the high school level. So my question is, how far behind IQ wise were you when you initially went to that other school? We won't name the school, but when you first got there.
Nah, I can honestly say. So I'll tell you, when I got to Bradley, my IQ was pretty high just from like how to like shoot the ball, but it really grew when I got to Indiana State. And
Mm.
defensively, it helped at Bradley because I learned how to really guard and stuff like that. But my IQ really grew when I went to Indiana State, just seeing like how teams play us. Not just for me per se, but just looking at how everybody plays. Just looking at how our guards play, looking at how Robbie plays, looking at how my point guard, who we're going to actually Texas together, Julian Larry, how he beats his defender, how he makes his reads, and just the IQ of the whole game. And like when I watch film now, I look through it through like a coach's standpoint of like if my coach was sitting next to me, he telling me like this is what I see, this is what do you think about this? Because at that school we were really big on film, and our coach was he's a basketball junkie.
Okay.
He was the mad scientist of college basketball that year.
Yeah,
So
yeah, definitely, definitely.
just being able to see the growth from not even last year but this year as well, and how we attack different teams, and how we guarded different teams in the film sessions through it.
What was your personally? What was your biggest adjustment from Oak Forest to Bradley, from Bradley to Indiana State? And I know you're just getting into the groove down there at Texas, but from high school to college, what would you say your biggest adjustment was?
uh I would say the biggest adjustment from Oak Forest to Bradley was the physicality and putting on weight. That was definitely one of the things. He's like a big brother to me, Jayson Henry. He used to bully me all the time. He also be like, "Bro, you gotta get in the weight room. You're gonna be special, but if you can't be special if you 165, 175 trying to
Mhm.
bang in the Valley, because the Valley is one of the most physical leagues in the conference and in the country. And I personally believe that. I don't care what nobody says. And
Mhm.
then from Bradley to Indiana State was, being a star in your role. I always wanted to be the guy who took all the shots and who wanted to be the hero
Mhm.
sometimes. But going to Indiana State, I learned sometimes for the team to win and for the team to have success, you got to kind of swallow your pride, but you got to be a star in your role. And that's what helped me this past year is being a star in my role.
I'm going to touch on that, but I want to give you an opportunity to talk about the adjustment that was from well, you actually kind of did touch on it as far as from Bradley to Indiana State. You said be a star in your role. That's a phenomenal phrase, right? We had a young man on the show by the name of DJ Bolden, who is a graduating senior out of Westinghouse. And he was on the show, and I've been telling everybody this every chance I get because a lot of times particularly in high school, a lot of these kids they are having a hard time, and they're going to have a hard time adjusting to a new role. I always ask him the bottom of the totem pole, and something that he said that he was prepared for that because he understood role identification. right? Just knowing what your role is and just shining in that role. Everybody role is different. Like coming from high school where you're the man, you get to college. College has 50 men per se, right? And I had an open run last week, and one of the struggles where a lot of people is like, in the 5-on-5s where everybody wanted to be a scorer. Well, everybody can't be a scorer in college. Can you just touch on that a little bit as far as just being a star in your role and how important that is at the next level, regardless of the level? Because I would imagine that is the same at D1, 2, 3, NAIA, JUCO, whatever. Just kind of talk about that a little bit.
No, it's definitely a big factor because people, coming from high school, people are used to being the guy, the man, the player. But when you get to college and when you get to teams, it's like you gotta. They're all guys. They are with a team in their high school year. But now you gotta figure out how your game can implement with other guys. And sometimes being a starting role, it can put you in a box, but it doesn't really put you in a box. It just makes you stand out at what you do very well. That's not saying like you can't do this, you can't do that. But right now, for the team to win, and
That's
because
right.
at the end of the day, you want championships to bring back to college because that's what
Mhm.
college coaches' jobs are relied on. So they got to get guys to who's going to help them bring championships. And the blessing at Indiana State that we had was guys bought into the role. Nobody was like that's even guys who did not play or guys who played all the time. Everybody bought into the role, and we all treat each other equally. It was no hierarchy, no matter if you were Robbie Avila or the walk on. Walk ons got on everybody. Everybody got on everybody. It was a player led team at the end of the day.
You talk about winning those championships help the coaches keep their jobs. Like winning those championships help get y'all that NIL bag too. You know what I'm saying? Like, people want to be a part of that. Like I mean that helps with y'all life. If you want my services, I can bring you that shit, but it's gonna cost you, doggy. Yeah, all right. I'm with that. I'm with y'all getting y'all back. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much? What would that number look like as far as your struggle initially going to Bradley, and even when you transfer to Indiana State, just knowing, identifying, and then relishing in your role?
Bradley, it was probably like 10 being the best, one being the worst.
Yeah.
I would say Bradley was probably like a 3-4, honestly.
Okay.
And then Indiana State, my first year, it was 6-7, and
Okay.
then my this past year was a 10
By far.
by
By far.
far. Not even
By
not
far.
even a
That
debate.
is definitely fair. That is definitely fair. What are you anticipating that adjustment to be down at Texas? Like when obviously, like you said, you're not there yet, but like, what do you think you're playing on a bigger stage. You're playing at a bigger school. Texas, everything is. They say everything is bigger in Texas. That's what they say. So, like, what you anticipating down there?
Um, just high level competition. I'm going down there with all the confidence in the world. It's my
Mm.
last year. I want to play as best as I can, do what helps the team win games and potentially win championships. But definitely the competition level, the speed of it, and then just being able to be a leader. You know, I know I'm a transfer. I know I'm a grad senior, but I don't care. I'm going to be a leader at the end of the day. If that's through actions or if that's pulling guys to the side, talking to them, like I don't have an ego to talk to you. Like, bro, I'm not trying to yell at you. I just want you to be successful, and I'm going to try to give you advice to help you improve in the game. Because if you improve, we all improve, and if we win, we going to dance and we can go win championships. So
Yeah, and
that's definitely an
that
adjustment.
March Madness, I'm sure is a different feel. Y'all just missed the y'all just missed the field, which again, being the darlings of the NCAA last year, people was a little upset that y'all didn't make it to the dance. How disappointed were you guys in that?
Super. It was all the hard work we put in. We felt like we deserved to be in the NCAA tournament. We felt like we
We
could
did too. For the record, the nation did as well.
have. We felt like we could have won games down there. We could have made a run. We could have shocked a lot of people, especially this year. We would have put Indiana State even. It's on the map now, but would have been even bigger on the map if we would have
Oh,
made it
for
to the
sure. Oh, for
NCAA
sure.
tournament.
Oh, what there's no question. There's no question. Why Texas? What drew you to Texas? And if it was some of that NIL, you can say that too. But what drew you down there?
I can say it wasn't the NIL part.
Damn.
Regardless, nah. Regardless, I knew at that level people get paid regardless. But for me, it was outside of basketball. Definitely the basketball was very important. Having the opportunity to potentially play, coming in and playing, that's definitely a major reason. But definitely the outside of basketball, what's going to set me up to be successful in life. Because at the end of the day, like you said, the ball is going to stop bouncing, and gives me the best opportunity to use all the resources down there. Because eventually, I want to live in Texas. Because I was born down here, so I want to stay here and live here whenever I get done playing
Oh,
pro
so
ball and stuff like
okay,
that.
got a little. Texas had a little. What's the word I'm looking for? They had a little. I can't even think of the word.
Oh,
Yeah, a little hold, a little effect on the decision. I didn't know you was born down there. Okay, that's love. How much stress is off of you knowing that you are a graduate? So all you got to do is focus on basketball and not going to class. Is that a huge stress reliever?
It is a little bit. I'm still gonna have online classes and stuff like that, but I ain't got to worry about like this past year. I was taking 18 credit hours for the past 4 semesters at Indiana State to be able to graduate on time. But just being able to be considered a grad guy and not having 4 or 5 classes in a day, and then one day not,
Mhm.
just being able to be consistent of either not having none or having one a week is a blessing. I'm super excited so I can feel like had that like pro experience of just hoop for real,
All
hoop and
right.
live.
When you talk about the 18 hours that you took, just to kind of make sure you graduated on time, can you just talk a little bit about what that looks like for an athlete like that is traveling and obviously to some degree, I would imagine, particularly at Texas. I'm sure at Texas, as a matter of fact, just with the boosters and everything, but maybe at Indiana State, maybe at Bradley, that there are professors who don't give a damn about basketball. You better have that damn assignment in that report, that 4 or 5 page report with the sources and all that. I want my thing Monday at 12 o'clock, and no, you ain't getting no extension because you had a game last night. Talk about that a little bit.
Nah, it is true as some people say. Some professors don't like the sports at all, but I can say I was blessed to have professors who supported me. I At the end of the day, I communicated with my professors. I had different relationship with all my professors. So especially at Indiana State this past year, being in the MVC tournament, being in the NIT tournament, I missed a lot of classes, and my professors were very helpful with me and knowing that I wanted to try to graduate this spring. So they worked with me through the whole season. They worked with me, but it is very stressful when you got a game and you got an assignment to get done. So I'm glad the professors were very helpful with me throughout the season.
That's dope. Now I had a question on here about college and girls and what that's like, but I heard you say you got a girlfriend, so I'm gonna go ahead and scratch that out. I don't want to get you in trouble. I don't want you to miss out on that pasta you said she makes. So, and you sleeping on the foot. I ain't gonna mess up your thing. All right, so I'm gonna scratch that question out. I ain't gonna fuck with you on that one. All right, so
Okay.
be good. We're gonna skip that one. Normally I mess with the guys and be like, yeah, I'm talking about and whoop diddy whoop whoop, but I'm a chill. I'm a chill on that. I'm a chill on that. Why not continue the success that you had with Coach Schultz and Robbie at St. Louis? I like to think that that was a possibility. And so, like, you chose Texas for the reasons that you gave. How close was you to possibly choosing that, if at all?
Um, St. Louis was definitely always an option. I played for that coach. I know how the system is. I know how I can utilize that system. But at the end of the day, it's my last year. I wanted to put myself out there a little bit, take a chance
Mm-hmm.
on myself. I'm very grateful for the opportunity Coach Shirts had for me at St. Louis. I'm not taking nothing away from him for what he did for me, but I just wanted to do what was best for me in my situation, and I just wanted to take a chance on myself and try to put myself on out there against the top players in the country or potential
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
draft
Sometimes
picks and stuff.
there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you got to strike while the iron is hot, man. Like this thing ain't forever. So it's like it ain't nothing like betting on yourself, man. Like, you know what? I had 3 or 4 years of like seeing if I can do it, and now I know. Like, and let me see if I can do it for real, for real. So with the obvious personal reason as far as Texas being being born down there, how much, if any, as far as the potential of going pro, playing at the highest level, which is obviously the NBA, factored into you going to Texas? Obviously, we know Texas got the resources, they got the boosters. Obviously, KD is an I don't know if he graduated from there, but he definitely went there. But everything is really kind of aligned for you to potentially have this opportunity. Um, how much of that played a part in that?
No, that excuse me, that definitely played a part in my decision. Um, through the resources, like you said, through the resources, through the player development standpoint, through getting in the gym, 24-hour access to the gym, weight room, coach hub,
Mm.
and just being able around, like I said, even more basketball junkies down there is just it's definitely played a factor. And then like alumni come down to Texas, so I can have a chance to talk to the players, pick their brains, be a sponge at the end of the day because I'm not perfect. I still got things I got to work on, and I want to learn from the best or talk to them through their experience and see if I can use what they told me to implement it to myself. So just being able to have those resources definitely played a factor.
Is it NBA or bust, or is are you open to playing professionally and maybe well, I think they are disbanding the G League, if I'm not, or no, is that the OTE? Disregard that. Yeah, no, it's the OTE. Is it NBA or bust, or is Jason open to continuing the development to get to the NBA if another avenue as far as maybe playing overseas or playing two-way contracts? Like, what does that look like for Jason?
For me, for Jason, it's whatever God got planned for me. I'm gonna follow his plan, whatever it is. If that's the NBA, if that's overseas, because at the end of the day, I'm playing the sport that I love. I'm getting paid. That's my job. I couldn't ask for nothing else better. So,
Fair enough.
whatever he got planned for me, whatever path he puts me on, is what I'm gonna follow and is what I'm gonna do.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. Kind of switching gears. No matter what team that you guys would have played on, whether they came to Oak Forest or you went to their school, what player from your high school era, or even players that you might be familiar with from the Illinois era, would you have wanted to play with?
Play with?
With
Wow, that's a man. Um,
You had some good ones when you was in school, and then after
yeah,
that, you had Day Day. Right now, you got obviously Morez, you got Angelo, Servina. Like, there's a lot of good players, from the last few years. So anybody sticks out. Obviously, you had Robbie, so that is what it is. But anybody else you
um,
would have wanted to play with?
I would say Donovan Newby.
Oh yes, I remember him.
Yeah, I would say I would have really liked to play with Don. Don's he's my guy. We still talk to this day, and he's one of the good point guards that I've known, and just seeing how he ran the show when he was at Bloom with
Yeah,
Dante,
yeah.
Shoemake, Christian, and Keyshawn, how he was kind of like
Yes.
the head of the
He
snake.
was a role superstar. You talked about a superstar in their role. Because Christian, Dante, Martise, they all got the shine.
Yeah,
Donovan. Don't get me wrong. Us who knew he got his shine, but like the daily highlights was Dante, Christian, and Keyshawn. Those was the
yeah.
daily highlights. So no, that's a really good point. Any other notable Chicago player, just in general, like Chicago? I love telling people, like, me not being from here, so just learning all of the Chicago basketball culture, the players. Like, y'all got some good ass
Yeah, we
players
got some
from.
dogs.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
we got some
yeah.
dogs.
I'm talking about way back in your mom and pop era,
Yeah, we got
like
some
all
real
the way
dogs.
through, all the way. Like, y'all got some dogs. So anybody sticks out that, like, if I was back then, I would have played with such and such. Like, anybody like that from the Chicago?
Yeah, he actually played with my dad when he was with the Illinois Warriors. Um, I called him AJ, Anthony Johnson. He played
Okay,
at Purdue. Then he transferred to Northern Illinois. Played for
okay,
Coach Mark Montgomery.
okay, okay.
I definitely would have loved playing with him. he was kind of like a big brother to me back when I was a little kid. I kind of was like, "Man, he's tough." Like I thought he was really tough, so I wish I could have played with him.
That's
That
what's
would
up.
have been dope.
Okay. Can you describe to parents and players and their families like what what do they need to know about being a Division 1 athlete? Like, of course, you see these kids nowadays. Like, it'd be like a kid who he can be literally categorized as a fucking midget, and their parents and people think that they can go D1. Like, what goes into being a Division 1 athlete that the average dumbass doesn't know?
Hey, that's crazy, but honestly, to being a Division 1 player, it of course it's the grind, it's the hard work, but it's what makes you stand out above the rest. Like you said, my point guard, not Jew, but Isaiah Swope. He was number 2 on our team. He was short, but he was the quickest, shiftiest, can knock down trades, get to the rim. Like is what makes you stand out. What makes you stand out than this guy? What makes you stand out from this guy? Like I feel like it doesn't matter if you're 5'8", 5'10". I played with somebody who was 5'9", 5'10", who was one of our leading scorers on the team, who led the nation in 3-point attempts and makes. So it's just your hard work, and at the end of the day, it's your confidence. You know, you don't want
How
to.
tough? How tough is the coaching? How tough is the coaching down there on
It
that level?
depend. It depends on your coach.
Okay.
Depends on who the coach is. Coach Shirts was more of a sarcastic, laid back type of guy. The sarcasticness was a little crazy. It kind of make you like, bro, you ain't gotta do all that. And then I've had Brian Wardle, who was a yeller screamer. You know, that type of coach, but it depends on the coaching style, who the coach is. But Josh Shirts is probably one of the funniest, non-funniest, sarcastic guys I've ever met in my entire life.
Sarcasm, like, come on, like, is you gonna hit any shots today? Like, what we doing out
Or
here?
like, you get an offensive, like if we mess up on defense and somebody gets a defensive rebound, you'll see him start clapping and cheering, like, "Yeah, great rebound!" And it can be like nobody around you. Like it's crazy.
That's funny. So far in college, and then thinking back to high school, what has been your best, most memorable moment on and off the court?
Okay. Off the court in high school was watching my sister play for sure. Just being able to be at her games and stuff like that. On the court in high school was winning a regional championship on our home floor was definitely a
Mm,
memorable moment. Was
okay.
doing that. And then in college, it was off the court, was just being involved with the community, giving back to the kids, going to ball games, baseball games, hanging out with them, interacting with the community and fans. And then I would say on the court, I got a lot of on the court though for when I Indiana State. I got a lot of on the court.
Y'all had, I'm telling y'all, man, y'all had a good, like, y'all were
Yeah,
like I'm telling y'all were the darlings, bro, of the college basketball world last year. And I could just imagine, like, with each game y'all won, like, obviously within the Indiana State community, people were seeing that. But then when y'all started to kind of get noticed on a national scale, it just kind of heightened y'all notability. I'm sure that was pretty fun.
nah, yeah, it was dope. Getting some of that national attention,
Yeah.
ESPN, and all types of stuff. Being on a lot more broadcasted live TV games
Yep.
it
Yep.
was dope. But on the court, I have so much. I can't tell you just one, but
Fair
I will
enough.
give you a few. One is definitely winning the regular season championship. That one is definitely a major one. Making it. Playing in a conference tournament championship, and then playing in the NIT championship. Um, watching like my teammates excel, like Robbie, Swope, Ryan, Jew, and then one of my favorite moments is two of actually is all our freshmen pretty much scoring. Everyone scored a point, but one was his name is Derek Vorst. It's like my favorite moment in the NIT. Who were we playing? We were playing. I think it was Cincinnati for the quarterfinals, and he had got a wide open top of the key tray. Let me tell you, he didn't really play it a lot at all during the season. But when he got in and he got that tray ball and he hit it, the roof went
Oh,
crazy. Like
God, it's dope.
fans screaming, I'm jumping up and down, like, and he's celebrating, he hooping. That's probably one of the best moments in the